I'm from Wisconsin, Appleton area. Came to Sovereign because I needed help. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know how I needed it or what I was looking for at the time. I was in pain, withdrawing off heroin, opiates, and a bunch of other drugs. I was lost. I was bedridden. Couldn't find motivation to do anything in life. Not to walk my dog, not to eat properly, not to talk to anybody. I was isolated, alone, and afraid. But mostly I was broken on what to do. I called about 90 different places in Wisconsin, in the Illinois area, for rehab, and I couldn't figure out which one would best fit me. Not which one would best fit me, but best fit my insurance. My insurance is a private insurance, and they only offer a detox program in the hospital environment, which was 3 to 5 days maximum. But that's not what I needed, because I could detox myself. What I needed was learn how to live sober. Because I didn't know how to live sober. I haven't been sober since 4th grade, which is age 10, 11, 12. I started drinking at a very young age. Started smoking weed shortly after that. Next was ecstasy. Then we got to high school, a bunch of pills, cocaine, and a lot more drinking. After high school, I got into selling drugs, and that was when it kind of all started slipping downhill. I started partying more, not caring about my real job. Started making a lot of good money selling drugs and being able to support myself that way. So inevitably, I lost that job that I had. I lost a lot of my close friends that weren't about using drugs or selling drugs. And then I started learning about heroin and shooting up and different things like that. Got around involved with some bad people. They introduced me to shooting up. And then, they say one time is too much, and it really is, First time I was hooked. So then I was shooting up meth and heroin, and I was just controlled by it. Everything was controlled by it, my body, my motivation, my purpose in living was meth and heroin. And I couldn't find another way to live besides getting high and loaded. So that commercial on TV that everyone sees, the network addiction hotline, the guy suffering, are you suffering? You don't have to do it alone. Well, that number came on as I'm withdrawing in my bedroom. After calling 90 different rehabs, I was broken. I was ready. I was like, you know what? Maybe that guy knows what I should do, because I couldn't figure out a place to go in my area. And sure enough, I got a hold of a recruiter. He told me about Sovereign. Told me that they would help me through the process, give me the proper tools to learn how to live sober again. And they asked me if I wanted to leave tonight, and I said, well, I got to pack. I've never been to California before. I've barely been out of Wisconsin. So the next day I had everything packed, kind of told my family about the problem. Well, they already knew the problem. Told my family that I was going to get help, and I didn't need their approval for it because it's what I needed to do, because I knew I was going to die, if not. So I flew out to California on February 2nd, 2017. Afraid again, and even more broken on how am I gonna, meet people. I was confused. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't even know if it was real. I was just talking to a guy over the phone. In less than 24 hours, I was already on a plane. And I was picked up at the airport by a gentleman named Roman. He was the nicest guy in the world. Explained to me the program, the process, different levels of care, being detox, RTC, PHP, and IOP. So being nervous still, that really helped comfort me, knowing that this was real and I was going to treatment. I wasn't just getting picked up off a plane and dropped off somewhere for an insurance scam. Once arriving at Sovereign, I met a lot of people, was shaken and afraid still, going through withdrawals, not wanting to talk to anybody, so I kind of isolated myself just to the people that I had to talk to. After detox, I started coming out of my shell again. I started to get that I'm becoming sober, all my emotions are back, I now know how to deal with sobriety. And when I say deal with sobriety, I didn't mean didn't know a clue about dealing with sobriety because I haven't had feelings for 15, 20 years. And so when all those feelings came back in a huge mountain of rushes, I was in class breaking down, crying, just couldn't control it. And a lot of instructors, reached out to me and said, like you're gonna get there. Don't worry, it's normal. It happens to everybody. When we repress all these feelings and emotions for so long, it just comes out and explodes when you get sober. And so it was normal, even though I was like, oh my God, why am I crying? Feeling bad for myself to other people. After I started working the process, going to groups and meeting people, I started finally blossoming, and that's when the pink cloud effect that you hear about started happening, and I started feeling really good about myself. I started feeling back to my normal ways. I started, associate my emotions with my feelings. I started to do things cognitively thinking that I was never doing before. I was able to think clearly, finally, for once. I wasn't so depressed and I wasn't so lonely anymore. I was happy. I was finding enjoyment in little things like looking at the ocean or the sky, or listening to birds chirp, things I've never done before in a long time. I moved into the RTC level care. We moved houses, and the houses are phenomenal. They're beautiful homes. A lot of the guys are great. Some duds. Got close with a couple guys, and we kind of went through this process all together. And I mean, you don't want to focus on clicking up here, so to call it, in a social area. You want to focus more on yourself. And there is a lot of distractions, but you're here to fix yourself. You're not here to fix anyone else's problems. So it's good to stay focused, and it's good to work the steps and take what they say to heart. You don't have to agree with it all, but just know that it's in there, and then you can take it how you interpret it. So after RTC, we had a lot of groups, learned a lot of different therapies, a lot of different coping skills, all these things that I needed to learn in order to live sober. And I was doing it, and I was putting all these coping skills into effect daily, and I was using them, and I was making scales and T-charts on pros and cons and different areas that I could really, really benefit in my life now, to make sure that I would never relapse again or use another drug again in my life. After RTC level, I got to the PHP level. The PHP level was very intense. It's an all-day process of training and programming your brain, which, it's hard at first, but once you get used to it, that's where you learn the most. The instructors on the PHP level form are top-notch. They are lead counselors in the program. They make sure you understand what they are teaching and how it's supposed to be interpreted. And everything just makes sense. You start relating every little problem you had in your life to these concepts and realizing, wow, if I would have known this back then, I would have totally did it differently. And that's what's beautiful about the process, like cognitively thinking and cognitive distortion and different coping skills and theories and therapies that actually work for addiction. They also offer here at Sovereign different scientific methods like EMDR, and they also offer neurofeedback, which I'm currently doing right now, which is where they measure your brain waves and see how you react and make sure that your brain is working properly to different scenarios. And I really am finding benefit in that as well. They also do meditation by the ocean. They do equine therapy. After being an addict for 4 good years of being just a complete junkie and loser, I was now cautious of what I was putting in my body, what I was doing to my body as a whole. Once they offered the gym therapy and we were able to go lift weights and run and different things like that, I really took advantage of that. I started drinking a gallon of water a day. I started hitting up the gym whenever it was offered. I really just focused on healing my mind, body, and spirit. My body being the gym, my spirit being finding God in a religion here, and a higher power for the 12 steps. And then my mind would just be programming. And you know, it's hard at first, but you gotta learn to love it. You gotta learn to love it because you gotta learn to live again. After the PHP level, your IOP, and IOP is really laid back. Now it's giving you that time to learn how to use all that skills and processes that you've learned in programs in real life. You're able to find a job. You know, you're only programming for 3 to 4 hours a day, and then you're home the rest of the day. You know, you still get fed. You're able to leave. You're not tied down to the house anymore. You're able to sign yourself out, go for a walk, go find a job. You're able to bike around. You're able to go meet up with friends, go to the beach, do anything. And that's when you really get to learn your new skills. I was walking home from the gym one day, and I found a container of marijuana on the ground, medical marijuana from California. And I opened it, and it was a full thing of weed. And I looked at it, and me being an addict, I was like, oh my God, you know, I could make money off of this, or I could use this. But that's not what crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was, I have 60 days clean. I'm not gonna throw that away for a little bit of weed. So I took it and I threw it away in the next garbage can, which was just an awesome moment in my life, because knowing me two months ago, I would have never done that. I would have sold it, I would have got high off of it, I would have did something with it. But I was able to finally put that drug down and say no, even though it was in my hands. And so I'm thankful for Sovereign for that. They taught me how to learn again. They taught me how to live again. They taught me how to learn. They've opened my eyes to different techniques in life. And it's not just addiction, it's everything in life you do. Mentoring, there is being able to relate different scenarios to feelings and emotions, being able to regulate all that, being able to break things down and dissect it into a way that you don't have to just get overworked and overwhelmed and then turn to a substance. And I'm thankful for that. I'm hopeful, and I share my aspirations with every addict that walks in the door, because I know what it's like to be broken, to be hurt, to be alone. I know what it's like to not want to live anymore, to want to give it all up. But you know, that guy says on the TV, you don't have to go alone, and you really do not have to go alone. The best decision I've ever made in my life was picking up that phone and calling to get that help. And for that, I'm grateful for Sovereign. I'm grateful for all the therapists that work here, all the case managers, all the managers. Everyone that works here cares, and they are all genuine people, and they truly have your best interest.